Hello there, my name's David Gordon. You're very welcome to this episode of Travelbites, which takes us to Cheyenne in Wyoming. Now, I had the opportunity in 2018 to hire myself a convertible Ford Mustang and take off to the wild blue yonder and visit Cheyenne, home, of course, of Rodeo in the USA. And I spoke first of all to Darren from Cheyenne Tourism to find out more about the city. Here right in the center of Cheyenne, Wyoming. We're the background just behind you. People will be able to see the Wrangler, be able to see the little coach, the trolley bus that goes around the city center. Tell me what people can expect when they come here to Cheyenne.
Cheyenne is definitely a real authentic Western town. It is middle America all the way across the board. It's a town that celebrates its Western history, its Western past, with those attractions right behind us. So people will see some of the West that they are expecting to see. They will see bison, they will see trains, they will see rodeo grounds and rodeos. It's the real America.
Tell me about the history of Cheyenne. How did it come to be where it is today?
Cheyenne is here because of the railroad. When the Transcontinental Railroad went all the way across the United States, Cheyenne was one of the communities that sprang up along the route. So everything about Cheyenne originated from the railroad, everything from our historic depot to all of the development along the railroad tracks. So we still have a very big railroad presence in the community. It's still very much what we have here. We have railroad festivals, we have steam engines on display. So visitors today will see the history of the railroads, but we also attract visitors who watch just the trains, watch and learn about the railroads, because that's one of the core founding blocks of Cheyenne.
And of course, talking of the railroad, you have a great railroad museum just beside us here.
Yes.
What sort of thing can people see there?
Again, the Cheyenne Depot houses the Cheyenne Depot Museum. It shows the history of the railroads, how it influenced Cheyenne life, and how it still contributes to our local economy.
If people want to find out more about the city, if they're going to come to visit, what's the website they should visit?
They should visit, very simply, www.cheyenne.org. That's the main website for information about Cheyenne, and we look forward to your visit soon.
Now, Cheyenne in Wyoming is famous for the Cheyenne Frontier Days, and I asked Mike Castle about the history of the festival. The Frontier Days is quite an historic event. It's been going for quite a number of years. Maybe you can tell us when it started and indeed why.
All right. Well, in 1897, Cheyenne, Wyoming was actually looking for an opportunity to increase business in our community. At this time in 1897, Cheyenne, like a good portion of the western United States, was suffering from a great economic depression that had started several years before. And everybody was looking for the opportunity to try and encourage business and people to come visit and spend their money. It just so happens that there was a railroad agent by the name of Frederick Ainger who was working with the Union Pacific in Denver, Colorado, who was trying to arrange for small community fairs to convince people to buy tickets to go out on a day excursion, to go to any type of celebration that would be interesting. As he was traveling along the railroad routes, he went to places like Loveland, Colorado, and got them to do a corn day, because that's what the community grew there. Then he also went to Greeley, Colorado, and convinced them to do a potato day. And as he was coming further and further north out of Colorado, he was looking for something up here in Cheyenne. And when he approached the city fathers, they really didn't have much in the way of agriculture around our community. Well, farming communities, where you'd have a fair to celebrate anything that grows, except for maybe grass. As a matter of fact, one of our famous people here in town said the only thing we raised here every once in a while was hell from time to time. So they really didn't have any ideas, and they were kind of stumped by the question. And disappointed, he decided he was going to head back to Denver. And while he was doing so, he noticed that there was a group of cowboys from the local ranch who were trying desperately to try and convince a very uncooperative horse onto a rail car. And he was so enthusiastic about this, and he had so much fun watching these men doing their jobs. He also took time to look around and see how many people were being attracted by this mayhem. And he thought, all of a sudden, this would be a great thing to try. He re-engaged the city fathers even before he left town, and they began to realize that they had something very special here. Obviously, the cattle industry had been having some very difficult times too, but the men of the town were also looking at the possibility that maybe we could celebrate the history of this town. They thought the Old West was going away even by that time, and so they thought that maybe they could have a celebration that would celebrate what once was, our Hell on Wheels days, the railroad, soldiers, Indians, and of course, cowboys and the ranching lifestyle. At that time, we also had popular Wild West shows like the Buffalo Bill Wild West show that was traveling around the world, making a great name for the American West. So they decided to try it out and see if that would be a celebration that would work here. They did it for one day in September, on late September, on the 23rd, 1897. Got about 4,000 people up from Denver the first year. But the reception was so fantastic that Buffalo Bill Cody himself and his tour wanted to have a show in conjunction with Cheyenne Frontier Days in 1898. And because of his help, Cheyenne Frontier Days grew from 4,000 participants and visitors the first year to 20,000 the next. And beyond that, Cheyenne Frontier Days has been going strong for 122 years.
And now you get something like 500,000 people over 10 days. It's
500,000 people over 10 days. It's pretty amazing. We have about 60,000 people officially from the census within the city limits. But imagine a small town like that would have this big of a celebration regularly every year for 122 years is really saying something remarkable about the event and the community who wants to have it.
So people coming to Frontier Days now really get to see genuine America?
Oh yes, absolutely. This is a uniquely American sport. I mean, when there are animal sports where men compete against, men and women compete against animals. They do it in the Middle East, they do it in Europe. But here this is kind of an American take on not only man against beast, but also kind of a celebration of the American frontier and the American West that rodeo represents. And so yeah, it's a very unique celebration that we're very fortunate happened here.
And if people want to find out more about it, what's the website they should visit?
Wonderful place to visit for learning more about Cheyenne Frontier Days itself is cfdrodeo.com.
People in Cheyenne are really proud of Frontier Days. Tom Hersig is the Chief Executive Officer of the organization. Tom, we're here in the museum at the Frontier Days. Tell me what the event actually is here in Cheyenne.
So, the core event for Cheyenne Frontier Days is, of course, our rodeo. We've been nicknamed the daddy of them all by the contestants. That, in their mind, we are the greatest rodeo on earth. And along with that, the other big tradition we have is our traditional great night shows, the Class A country western music that comes to Cheyenne Frontier Days. But along with those, two core products, we have this whole western experience where people can come back and kind of revisit the West a little bit, put on their hats and boots and even buy a hat if they need to when they get here. But so we have parades. We have a pancake breakfast that the Kiwanis do as an emergency feeding exercise that was started years ago, where we feed about 10,000 people breakfast every other morning. In about a matter of about an hour and a half. So we have that. We have a carnival. We have lots of Western experiences out here, so that people can kind of revisit the core of what America was built upon.
The numbers you have coming to the shows grow year on year. You've something near like 500,000 people now come over 10 days. I mean, the amount of work that goes into organising all that must take you all year.
Oh yeah, I mean right now we're just kind of broaching our 18th show, but we're already starting to book things for 2019. So it's definitely a year-round project to entertain 500,000 people and give them the experience that they want to have here.
What do you see as the future for Frontier Days? What do you want to develop and bring into the future?
Well, I think the future of Cheyenne Frontier Days is very strong. You know, you look at kind of the heroes of the American West, or even of America. The two heroes that we feel will stand strong throughout the test of time is going to be the military and the cowboys. That's just kind of iconic, heroic people, and you know, we're blessed that we do have the military base that's here, and they're a big part of Cheyenne Frontier Days. We have the Thunderbirds that come and fly here every year. It's one of their longest shows they've ever had. But along with that, you know, our start was with the cowboy. Years ago, 1897, the Union Pacific decided that they wanted to try to make Cheyenne a little more vibrant, and that they kind of came up with the idea of celebrating cowboy lifestyle, and it just took off from there, and it just kept building, and so we think the longer we go and the more we can kind of hang on to those traditions, people are going to want to experience those traditions. So we feel the strength of Cheyenne Frontier Days is very positive.
Thanks for watching this Travelbites episode all about Cheyenne in Wyoming. That's it from the episode for today. You can find out more at davidgordonstravelbites.co.uk. But now it's time for me to put the cowboy hat back on, get back in the Mustang and head down the road. I actually think this quite suits me.